well this evening, no matter where we are in the world. Today's been an interesting day. This is the late show that I pretty much try and do every sort of night now. Yeah, get into the chat. Let me know what you think about today. Let me know what you've been up to. Let me know what you think about this whole UAE Saudi takeover. I've got some news. I've got some stuff that I wanted to go through, kind of condense it down to that. I've already done a show on this today and give you my opinions on what I actually think. Doesn't mean that I'm right on this one. Doesn't mean that I'm wrong either. But I've early doors giving you my opinion. Dino Hughes, afternoon, evening, my friend. I hope you're doing extremely well today. Get into the chat. If you've never been here before, what I genuinely do here is I do read out your chats, and like a lot of other channels, and I'm not calling them out at all, we generally do read your chats out on here, so get your opinions in. The only thing I will ask is obviously be respectful as you can to the people in the chat. Danny B, big up yourself, my friend. Hope you're doing extremely well this evening. I'm not a dictator of the chat. I am merely a facilitator. I'll facilitate your questions. I'll of course give you my opinion on it. Doesn't mean that that's the end of the conversation. We can agree to disagree, as we do on many occasions on here, but that is the beauty, I believe, of this channel and this amazing community, is that we all get our opinions in and we all have a voice on here. So just going to clean my glasses as we talk about this stuff. So I did a show today on the Turkey al-Sheikh. Now, Turkey al-Sheikh came out and caused an absolute storm last night. Not bad, JB. Didn't expect to be waking up to the news we are possibly up for sale. So, Dino, look, we'll get into all this, my friend. I did see it late last night, actually. I did see it. And I debated on whether or not to jump back on again. But Scott is in the house, legend of the chat, Scott. I don't know whether you're back or not. Yassine says the best is Galatasaray. Bro, look, feel free, bring in your teams. I'm sure they are important to you, my friend. I'm sure in your world they are the best team. And I've absolutely got no comment on that, my friend. What is good for you. Absolutely amazing. Let me know about your teams. As much as this is a United channel, we do accept other clubs on here as well. Some of the best subscribers on here do support other clubs. As I say, the only thing that I will say is obviously be respectful in the chat. Could be stuck here until Saturday, Scott. In the nicest possible way, my friend. I hope you have a really good time. I hope you're stuck in a good sense. Skabla says, hello from Russia. Hello, my friend. Do you know any Russian words? I don't. So if so, please tell me. I would love to hear them. Skabla, I don't, my friend. Absolutely not, my friend. I barely speak English. I'm kidding. I don't know any words. Apologies in advance, but thank you. And, welcome here as well. Yasin says, I respect United, bro, after us. Look, as I've said before, I respect many teams on here. There is no malice from me on here, not towards any fan base at all. All you'll get here is love and respect. So here we go. So what do we talk about this morning? So I give you my opinions this morning on the takeover deal as to what I think could happen. And we went through the kind of various connotations. I'll try to sum it up because I did go quite in depth into it. Now, number one is, of course, don't forget, this is the international break. This is where 2 + 2 = 18, whereby any sniff of a story and it's going to get blown out of proportion. Now, it did help that Turkey al-Sheikh, who is part of the, I forget now, I did have it written down somewhere. So he's part of the Saudi sporting the sporting committee. He himself is a billionaire, but he's not going to buy the club. That's been confirmed. And he put it out there that United are in negotiations with a party to buy the club. Now, as you can imagine, it's all out there today. I've tried not to come on during the day because I didn't want, I came on this morning just to present the news as I saw it. And I didn't want to go through the day and start clickbaiting and, saying that I've seen some others say that this is true and this deal is about to happen. Let's temper that and let's go through it. Bro, what do you think of Champions League final teams? Can you guess? I think that I think it might be one of PSG again. PSG, Bayern Munich. I think it's going to be the usual suspects. I'd love another team to jump on and see if they could win it, but I do think it's going to be one of those teams. So Turkey Al Sheikh caused an absolute storm. Now he is a respected guy. Now he's the boxing promoter in Saudi. He's not going to come and say this stuff unless it's not true. Now the caveat to that is he does like to from time to time say different sorts of stuff. Now throughout the day there have been various stories, and I'm going to kind of round it all up tonight, and you can tell me what you think about this news. I would love to know your thoughts. So to sum up as best I can, my initial opinions this morning on this are: number one, it is a load of nonsense. Okay, number one, it is a story put out there for a bunch of spin to get a bunch of clicks. Do I think that's true? No, I don't. Now, number two, potentially the Glazers want to sell the club. Now, on the basis of that, is there something that they know that we don't? Now, I'll give you an example of this. Is that, let's just say they know that they're not going to get permission to build the stadium. Do they know that it's going to be such a long time that they want to take the money and run? Hello, Art Hostage here. Hello, my friend. Hope you're doing extremely well. Welcome to the chat again. I remember your name as well. I'm pretty good with names. So it could be a situation. I'm going to call our fans here, and we'll be 1,000. Look, mate, it would be absolutely amazing. Yashin, look, as many fans from different communities as possible, my friend. I absolutely would be amazing to have as many people as can. Is it okay for an Arsenal fan? Of course it is, my friend. Look, we are primarily a United channel, right? But absolutely, these late shows are good because we can talk about, absolute respect to any other fan base. The one thing we don't do on here is we do not discriminate. There's absolutely respect. The only time that there's not is obviously if basically there is no respect back. So I will give respect, as long as it is respect back, my friend. Arsenal fans, completely welcome here. And to caveat that, I also hope that Arsenal win the league as well. So, Martin Fay, if it happens, the clothes are coming off and running around the bog meadows. I get bullied at school because we just always finish in second and being trophyless. Look, mate, let me tell you, Nick, right? I don't agree with that at all. Look, Arsenal are a look, I would absolutely kill to be in Arsenal's position. As long as the bullying is banter and you're not experiencing anything bad, it's absolutely unacceptable, my friend. So look, come here. You'll be respected here, my friend. So you're welcome here. KK, what is happening, man? I will go through it all. I'll go through the news again. I'm just going briefly what I went through this morning, my opinions on it, and then I'll come back to the news as well. Could this be a plot by the Glazers, deployed by to force Ineos to buy the club because it was an offer was accepted? Ineos would have to sell due to the deal and have Glazers unless they match the offer. Very good point. United is a good team that has history and very good, but the form currently is not the best. Absolutely not. I agree with you completely. Awful. We're not in it at all. KK says it's going crazy from 3 with Rubin to a takeover. I think it's spin. KK. Yashin, who's the best striker in the Champions League? You've got to look at Osimhen, you've got to look at Haaland, you've got to look at Højlund, dare I say Højlund, Harry Kane, Mbappe. So I think if you are talking pure strikers, I think you have to go Haaland and Kane. United are in the worst place at the moment in the history, mate. Something needs to happen. I agree. Maybe a reason why they're not sacking the manager. So let's get through this. So, as I said, this could be spin. This could be a bunch of nonsense. Look, we need to accept Ineos are a business, and the more clicks we have out there, the better it is for the club. And I'll go through why we're going to know. Now, all these outlets chasing all this, saying that the deal's done, there's a secret deal. There is so much counter evidence from sources who are very, very good to counteract that. So could it be spin? Yes, it could. Number 2, could it be the Glazers? Look, the Glazers could know something that we don't know. Maybe they don't have that appetite. Maybe they cannot get the stadium built in a quick enough time. It's going to take 7 to 8 years to build the stadium. It's then going to probably take another 5 years for them to see the profit. And maybe they just want to go. That's what it could be. Now, my opinion on this, and this is where I stand on this, is that this is a bid. And again, if this becomes true, I'm going to clip up myself and play it, right? I've said this. I think it's a ploy by the Glazers to get money into the club. I think the Glazers want an investment into the club. They want somebody to pay for the stadium. They want somebody to clear the debt. As much as that sounds really, really crazy, UAE, Saudi, whoever it is, they want to buy into the Premier League. Okay, now you say to yourselves, well, why would they buy the debt? So if they come in and they buy the debt, it means the club can buy more players. If they buy a stadium, they own the stadium, they can put their naming rights. What you've got to understand is that money is different there. It's an investment not only in an infrastructure. Are they bothered about a return on their investment? Yes, they are. But to them, it's more about the prestige about owning this club. So if they bought the debt, which sometimes companies do, and if they built the stadium, so say, for example, it cost them £3 billion, they're going to make that back over 15, they will not lose out on that deal. So that's where I think at the moment, this is about funding the stadium. How can the Glazers get money in to fund the stadium? Do not underestimate what these Glazers will do for £1. So I think there are 3 options here. Number 1, this is completely spin. Number 2, the Glazers are bored of this. The Glazers are absolutely bored of this. They want their money. They want to take £6 billion because that is what they want. Take the money, run. They don't need to build a stadium, because ultimately, how much money are they going to make, right? And 6 billion between whoever's left, that's more than enough money. So that's an option. Or option 2 is that this is the best way to get investment, and this is where my thoughts are on this. So this is the best way for them to get investment, for someone else to pay for the stadium, to pay for the debt, potentially get rid of that debt. As well, which it sounds mad, but if you buy £3 billion and you spend that, but it's going to be worth 6, and that includes the debt as well, that is an option on that. So that is where I am. Let me know what you think. If you think it's spin, if you think it's real, if you think it's just a way for the Glazers to get somebody to pay for the stadium. If you've got a different opinion completely, let me know as well. Let me go through some of the chats. Gyökeres, man, look, Gyökeres is not good. You've seen 3 to 4. Look, Gyökeres will come good. Gyökeres will come good. He will come good. He will. Exactly, just give him time. I think Osimhen, Haaland, Mbappe, Kane are the best ones. We agree. Is just a curse because every player when they leave that. Look, Right now we're a toxic club who needs a culture shift. You know, Arsenal for you know Arsenal for the longest time as well. You know, we're sort of always the bridesmaid and never the bride. I think that with this team, I think that Arteta has built a team, and you've got to win something now. I think if you don't win something now, then he's got to rebuild. So are we cursed? I don't think we're cursed. I don't think curse has got anything to do with it. What we are is that we're a really, really badly run club. Glazers most likely saw Arsenal with the building of the Emirates and think, yeah, we're doing that. Let's see if we can get some investor to foot the bills. I am with you. That is what I think. People are very desperate at the moment to get the Glazers gone. I pray something can happen. And Martin, look, I'm with you as well, Martin. I want these. You should. People on here will know my views on the Glazers. I want these cretins gone. But you look at what they did with it in the Ineos. You look at what they did with that. We all thought potentially, you know, there's going to be a sale here. We all potentially thought that the Glazers were going to finally go. The Glazers will love this. The best thing for them to have right now will be an investor to come into the club, and they won't care what it will do to the fan base. You know, they will happily pump this up, and then announce that the stadium is going to be built, because don't forget, they're struggling to find investors to build the stadium. Imagine the perfect trio would be the Glazers at the helm, Ineos on the football side to shield them, and a country trillions and trillions of pounds worth building the infrastructure, and it will get built super quickly. So I think that's something that we need to fear as well. May Arsenal are becoming even better every season. I hope so. Can I subscribe? Of course you can subscribe. It's there. Absolutely subscribe. It doesn't cost a penny. Just came in from in 5 billion an hour ago. Yes, I agree. So let's talk through some of the stuff that's out there now, and you give me your opinion on it. So I think one of the interesting things to come out first of all that I will say is from Turkey Al-Sheikh. Now I was watching somebody today, another channel that I'm not going to mention, and it wasn't the biggest one, and I was starting to get a little bit annoyed, and because I think the headline was something like this is true, and then they went into the whole thing, and they totally contradicted themselves for clickbait. Right now, during that stream, Turkey Al-Sheikh came out and said, my yesterday's post is about United potential sell. I meant that the club is in advanced negotiations with a new investor, but this may not happen. KK says UAE ain't gonna just invest; they want to buy the whole lot. KK, and again, get these opinions in, right, because it's really important to see all sides of this. I'm of the opinion that they want to invest and they want to get a name and a foothold into the club. KK saying actually they wouldn't want to do that. They'd want to invest. They want to buy the whole club. Look, you know, that's a very, very valid point. I don't necessarily know enough about how they operate and how they buy the businesses. I just know what the Glazers want. Patrick says, is this real? Just heard it today, but I don't think it's real. Glazers out full sell only. So Patrick, look, do I ultimately think it's real? Do you think it's real? Okay, so do you think it's real? Now, there are too many sources out there. We're not talking about Heinz. There are too many sources. Now this guy, Turkey Al-Sheikh, this guy is not a joke. Okay, this guy is the guy in Riyadh, I believe. You know, he's the promoter guy. He brings in all of the fights. He's the sport. He's part of the sporting authority and step. The drag along rights are now in place. And I'll come on to that as well. So thank you for bringing that into the conversation as well, because that's absolutely spot on. And I was going to bring that into the chat as well. So thank you for bringing that in. Now, this guy obviously sparked it off. Now, this has come from left field. Apparently, United, Ineos, are taken by surprise, which is interesting. And I say good. If you get in bed with the Glazers, you deserve everything that you get. So I have no sympathy. But this guy, Turkey Al Sheikh, is no joke. Now, I believe he's put the odd one or two things out there in the past for a little bit of promotion, but I think this would absolutely be a bit too much. So I don't think he's going to expose himself. I don't think he's going to do that. So do I think, in essence, this is real? Now, what we need to think about here is what sort of investment is it? Now, KK is just basically just saying, there that the UAE would absolutely want to buy the club outright. £6 billion to them would be pittance. Okay, now we all know the Glazers want £6 billion. Could they do that deal? Yes, they could. But what we have to understand is who we're dealing with. We're dealing with the Glazers. They're slipperier than the slipperiest of snakes. Just when we thought the club was going to be sold, the last time Sir Jim comes in. Now, step is right. There are a drag along clause, which basically means that Ineos haven't got a leg to stand on, really. But it also means that if 6 billion less or more was offered, that Sir Jim and Ineos would have the right to make the first bid and match the bid and buy the club out. So for those of you who are Sir Jim and Ineos supporters, potentially we're going to see the colour of your money. Now, what will be really, really funny on this one is I've been saying for the longest time that Ineos have got no intentions of buying this club. I've got no intentions of full sale. They're just here to make money. And guess what? If this sale happens, guess what? I was right. Many of you will be right as well. So we're going to start seeing something. I do believe we're seeing something here. I do believe that there is investment. Ineos need investment or sale. You look at the finances. If you go back and you look at what was reported in those statements, this club is £1.2 billion in debt. They are 400. I think 400 of that is in transfer debt. Another 800 or something is basically, the actual debt that was there to buy the club. We make £668 million, which is a significant amount of money, and we made a £36 million loss. We've sacked half of the workforce. We can't buy Amorim the players that he needs. Is the writing on the wall? Is this too big for the Glazers now? Is this because they've got no more money? Ineos, look, for those of you who are Ineos on pro Ineos, why haven't they bought the club? So we're going to see now, I believe, that this could be too big for Ineos. They've bitten off more than they can chew, and the Glazers know that there is no other way around this. Do they take their money and run? So I think there is a significant percentage that could happen. I'm still convinced that the Glazers, do not underestimate them. Do not underestimate Sir Jim. During the summer, they were looking for investors. And if you notice the wording on this is investment. This is not buyer. This is investment. This is, and you can call it what you like, but this is investment. The words I'm hearing are investment. So investment doesn't mean to buy out. I'm not hearing those words. And until I hear those words, I'm convinced that this is an investment plan for somebody to come in, to pay for the stadium, to get this to get this done. The sooner this is built, the sooner this is expedited to being built, they all make a bunch of money. Let's have a look. 100% they want to buy, but the Glazers take foot off United's neck. I hope so. Yeah, if they buy the Glazer shares, they kick out Jim. What, 5 billion to them? Exactly. Sir Jim is going to get his money back anyway, right? Ineos basically have first dibs to sell. Exactly. Sir Jim can't afford that. We need this for the club to breathe. I agree with you, KK. All you need to do is buy the Glazers out, buy the land off Freightliner, and then stop the new stadium and regeneration project. Look, again, step. You're making some fantastic points tonight. That's exactly what I would do. I would play the Glazers at their own game. If I wanted to look, as much as you don't want to underestimate the Glazers, don't underestimate these people either. There are things that they can do. If they want to buy this club, I always thought that Qatar or somebody else, if they wanted to buy this club, there were ways and means to buy this club. And if they wanted it enough, they could aggressively take over this club. And Sir Jim will know all about that, being a businessman. Are they going to do that? Are they going to force their hand? And I think that's a bloody good point. You buy the Freightliner land out, and then they may be forced to sell. And I think that's a great point. Yes, Step, a man who knows about football. Exactly, completely right. So there are ways and means. However, I will say this: as much as the Glazers look like a bunch of idiots, they might act like a bunch of idiots in terms of football. Don't underestimate them. Do not underestimate them at your peril. Is it too big for Jim? It is. What can Sir Jim do? What can he do? This is Nice. This is far too much for him. Step says Sir Jim is a Glazer puppet. Ineos haven't the capital to buy. It's almost like Step. You've watched this channel before. It's almost like you've watched me before. This is exactly what I've said many times, and I'm so glad. I'm glad that you're saying the same things as me, right? Is that I've always said this. Ineos are here for the money. They are the puppets. They are the front men. They've got no intentions of buying this club out. If they did, they would have bought the club out. They are here to make money. They've been here to service their asset. Yes, they improved the training. Yes, they've spent some money. But Sir Jim, I think he's in total has maybe spent £1.4 billion. He'll get that back in spades. He's here to make money. He's the front man to get the stadium built. I've always thought that. I've always believed the connections was here. I don't believe that Ineos knew the scale of what they were dealing with. I don't think they understand football. I don't think they understand the club. They certainly don't. And I don't think they understood how bad this club has been run, which is because if they did, they wouldn't have bought into it. They can't cope, John. I agree. Leo, legend. I hope you're doing extremely well. If this is true, though, I don't want Sir Jim anyway. This smart businessman has been done up by the Glazers and really done a bad job anyway. Sir Jim, get out. Look, I am all for this tonight. Look, you should know my feelings by now. I've always, pretty much the last 7 shows I've done, Glazers out, Sir Jim, I blame the toxic culture on them. Sir Jim talks about the future. Always, I agree with you. Stevie G in for the Rangers job. Yes, I saw that as well. He ain't a real United fan. I agree, because if he was, he would pour all the money to the club. Agreed, you KK. Sir Jim tried to get Chelsea and Barcelona. He's no United fan. He's a season ticket holder at Chelsea. End of parasite. 100% agree. So let's get to it as well. So the next piece of news has come out on X as well. From a like another sort of smaller account. That apparent and again, I think we need to take this with a pinch of salt, because I think people take 2 and 2 together and make stuff up. Amanda Staveley, as we know, the Newcastle broker that did the Saudi arrangement there, apparently is going to be leading the consortium. Is going to be the front person for the consortium. Obviously, she has links, but apparently talks are underway, and Amanda Staveley is trying to broker that deal with this consortium. Now, this consortium apparently is, not only is it a UAE or some sort of investment from them. Let's call it an investment for now, because that is what the term is being used. They're trying to pull in ex-players. So they're basically trying to pull in support of ex-players. So we're talking Neville. Honestly, Neville, absolute no thank you. Rooney, Beckham, Beckham as well. So, there is, but again, take that for what it's worth. I think Qatar were trying to do the same thing there with that bid there. So take this and let me know. Amanda Staveley, obviously, if you know, is she brokered the Saudi, was it the Saudi deal to Newcastle. Now apparently she's going to be involved in leading this consortium and trying to broker that deal, because this is she's already managed to do a deal for a Premier League club. Now, do we think that's true? I mean, I'm right now, I'm of the opinion that this is aggregators going wild. I think this is aggregators doing a lot of stuff for purposes of the international window, right? Staveley put 2 and 2 together. Now, could it be true? Maybe, but I don't think that's true. I think there are people who are, and again, if these things start to come out, so if more credible people start talking about Staveley being involved and start talking more about, and there is really one key indicator as well that will tell you what is going to happen, and that will have to happen pretty soon. In the light of the news, though, things make sense. Staff cutting, clearing wages, plans of new stadium, trying to dress up the club so it doesn't look so bad. Dino, and again, my friend, this is what we do in here: is we look at all of the breadcrumbs, right? We look at all the little things behind the scenes. Now, I think you do make a very, very good point, and I will come back to that as well. Ex-players will influence more people to protest. The Glazers have no choice but to sell. We need to sell. Sick of this club now. How it's run is a joke. Rubin getting 3 years. Look, I'm not going to touch too much on Rubin tonight, because I think I think he deserves a break. Right? Just look, we'll all come back to it next week when the Premier League is back, right? So I'm going to give him a stay of execution for tonight. Now, that's a valid opinion, right? The decisions that Ineos have made have been absolutely atrocious. Sir Jim coming out and backing a coach for whatever people think about him. I fully take on board the reasons why people want him out. And if you are an Amorim outer, it must seem absurd to you to give a manager who, let's be honest, isn't doing particularly well over the last 18 months, to give him a 3-year deal. Is it a very naive move? I don't believe it. I think it's Sir Jim trying to cover his ass, right? But it just goes to show the incompetence that Sir Jim has to go to the lengths of creating a narrative. And he's been advised that Sir Jim has to create a narrative that is going to get behind the coach. We all know he's crap, right? We all know that it's not going to happen. It's just a ploy for Sir Jim to try to not look so stupid. KK says the manager for United, the no improvement. Hit that like button. Yes, if you are watching, please give us a like, favorite, and subscribe. It really does help the channel out. It's just free. Double tap the screen. It really, really helps us out. get part of this amazing community. Even if you're not a United fan, get in your opinions. As long as we are respectful to each other, we don't have to agree on our views. I think that's the beauty of what we do here, is we don't agree, but I genuinely do try to read out all of your chats. Martin Faces really has his own radio talk show. KK says, I am not out, but change the system, because if you was elite, you would have different options. And at Nice, he sacked left, right, managers and centre. It's a joke. And I agreed with you there. And I think that this is becoming Nice. The reason why potentially they're willing to sell is because this club needs a reset, right? If I was a businessman and I was Sir Jim, okay, I'm a lonely, and I worked in accounts. So I was an accountant for many, many years, right? I sort of moved around. I moved away. I've not done accounting for many, many years now. And with my limited experience in accounting for smaller businesses, and not in a football sense, if I was and again, you don't have to be an accountant. You don't have to be, anything high. If you go and look at a car, right, and it's your dream car, right, and you look at it and it's priced at an amazing price, an unbelievable price, and you go, right, I'm going to buy it. But he goes, well, actually, you're going to need probably most of like a new engine, right? You're going to need to fix the tires. You're going to need to fix the steering. So it's basically a wreck. And you go, yeah, I can do it. I can fix it. You take the car home and then you look at it and go, wow, like it's going to take somebody with more skill than me to fix this. Once they fix it, the car's going to be amazing and they'll make tons and tons of money. But it's going to cost you money that you don't have. It's going to be beyond your skill set. What are you going to do? You're going to try to, and that you can make your money back, maybe a bit more, because this car is a steal, and this car could be an amazing car. Maybe you get your money back. And I think Sir Jim is out of his depth. I don't think he realised what this club is. I don't think he realised how entrenched this club is in toxicity. The only way this club gets fixed is if it's purged from top to bottom. No, I'd argue you change the manager, you change the players, you absolutely just purge this club of everything and you start again. And I think that is what this could be. Maybe. And again, I've got no sympathy for Sir Jim if the Glazers sell from under his nose, because that is what happened when you get into bed with these scumbags. This is what I've always said. You cannot trust the Glazers. They will sell their own granny for £1. And this is who they are dealing with. So it could have come to a point where actually, do you know what? Ineos coming into the club could have been the best thing that ever happened, because it may have driven this club to a point where now it does have to sell. Let's have a look. Dino says, and the manager at Nice, Sir Jim, sacked 5 managers since 2020. That's a manager a season. Now he's given the manager that is not performing 2 or 3 years. Seems sus. Like, Dino, it is sus, mate. It is a load of nonsense. Sir Jim giving the backing to Rubin for 2 years. It is a load of nonsense. Caleb says, Rasmus Hojlund is scoring goals at Napoli and at United he wasn't. How is that the system's fault? Look, Caleb, I'll come into that. It is not the system's fault. It's not. I'm with you on that one. Rasmus, for context, scored 2 goals tonight as well. Rasmus scored 2 goals tonight as well. So, look, I'm not going to get too much into it tonight. I want to focus more on, obviously, the sell talk. But I do respect the opinion. It is nothing to do with formation and the system. Where I will concede is what Amrin doesn't have the players. Amrin does have to change his tactics to suit these players. It is the toxicity in this club, and this is why this club need to sell. Rasmus has proven, he's proven this now, that it is not the cut. Well, it is it is not the formation necessarily, it is the club. It's rotten to the core. It is rotten. And there are some elements that the players that we've got now, but they're going to be dragged down again. So, the players that have left, and Rasmus is now proving that it's more than just tactics. It's more than just formations. It's more than just the manager. It is the club. KK said, Sir Jim, go back to Chelsea because Kobe will leave because of this manager. Look, KK, you make a good point. And I think what I've been thinking about today is this. Sir Jim wants to back the manager. They don't want to sell Kobe. Kobe's getting no game time, but the manager doesn't want to play him. What does that tell you about the ownership? Let's take out Rubin for a second, right? If a manager doesn't fancy a player, it's the manager's right to get rid of the player. Whether it's right or wrong, the manager should be allowed to manage. People make mistakes all of the time. Chelsea sold De Bruyne, Salah as well, right? They went on to be two of the best players, right? People make mistakes. People they don't know. My argument here is whether or not we think about the coach is good or bad, right? Ineos are causing this problem. Ineos will not sell Kobe. So Kobe wants to go on loan. I don't blame him. But also they're not letting Amorim sell a player that he doesn't want. And whether we agree or not, if a coach wants to sell a player, he should be allowed to sell the player. I disagree that Kobe should go, but that's not what this is about. And this is what I'm saying about the reason why these people need to go is because Sir Jim is saying Kobe can't go. Amorim's not playing him, but they won't sack the coach. And as I said in the show the other day, I can see a situation where Kobe goes before the manager. And is that right? James Bauer says, the fans are the club. Do you purge the fan base? James, I don't really understand what you mean by that. The fans are the club. Do you purge the fan base? I don't get that. You need to explain that to me. Because the fans aren't the one who bought the club. The fans aren't the Glazers. The fans aren't Ineos. The fans aren't Amorim. The fans aren't the player. The fans are the fans. So why would you purge a fan base? What have the fan base done? I don't get that comment. You need to explain that to me. You need to purge the club, but why would you purge the fans? What have the fans done? The fans are fans because they support and they love the club. The fans didn't put us into debt. Us fans didn't buy the club on debt. Us fans haven't got a bunch of money and never put it into the club. Us fans have never bought toxic players. Us fans have never instilled Sir Jim. Us fans have never made the decisions to buy these players and put us into debt. Us fans don't play on the pitch, and us fans are not the coach. So why would we need to purge the fan base? I just don't get the comment. He can't afford to sack the manager. No money. They have to sell Brent to invest. Agree with you, KK. And again, that's one of the things that we've spoken about on here as well, is we could have a situation with Ineos. They've backed themselves into a corner in terms of saving face for pride's sake, which if they back themselves into a corner for pride's sake and they won't sack the manager for pride, just goes to show you how much of an idiot Sir Jim actually is. And maybe they can't afford him. So maybe we get into a situation where you've got players who don't respect the manager that doesn't respect the players, toxicity on them both. Amorim is not going to walk, but Ineos won't sack him because it costs too much money. That is a situation that we could be in. Dino, so justice for Rasmus. I'm so pleased for him. Wayne, legend of the chat. Don't like international football. Sooner watch paint dry on the door. Agree with you completely. I would rather watch. Yeah, I'd rather watch the Grimsby game again. That is how rubbish it is. I'd rather watch the Grimsby game. I'd rather watch the 7-0 loss to Liverpool. No, I'm kidding. Ronaldo was right. Look, Ronaldo was right. I'm not going to disagree. I agree with you 100%. Thanks, Caleb. We'll sell Kobe for free to Chelsea when he's out of contract. KK, I mean that would be a travesty, wouldn't it? Kobe Mainu wants to leave. And that is factual. Kobe Mainu does want to leave, and I don't blame him. Rick says, let's hope they sell out to a party deserving of the brand, the project, and involves the biggest sporting brand on the planet. United FC, God willing, Radcliffe will follow him. Rick, agree with you, my friend. I will always say this. It doesn't matter whoever owns the club. You don't own this club. You were a custodian of this club. Football clubs around the world, you do have owners, right? But you're not an owner. You were a custodian. Your responsibility is to safeguard the future of your football club. It doesn't matter if you're Morecambe, doesn't matter if you're Swansea City, doesn't matter if you're United, doesn't matter, whatever club you are in. And it doesn't even matter if you're a non-league club, right? Your job as an owner is as a custodian to make sure you run this club right, to make sure that it stays in existence and you do the right thing for the fans. And this is what the Glazers have never gotten. This is what Sir Jim doesn't get. This is not a fucking business. This is a football club. This is historic. People have died for this club. No, people have given blood, sweat, and tears for this club. But yet the Glazers see this club as a cash cow. Ineos see this club as a cash cow. The next owners, whoever it may be, I can only pray and hope that they see themselves as custodians and they treat, as you say, this club not as a brand. They treat this club as a historic, piece of history as to what it should be. It should be treated with the respect. It should absolutely be treated. And that goes for Liverpool, goes for Arsenal, City. It goes for our clubs have been in this country, been around for hundreds and hundreds, 100 and something years. They are historical artifacts, and these owners need to respect the fact that this is our culture. This is part of, football was the first sport, right? And this is what these owners need to get, is that they are just custodians. They are here to look after the club and make sure that they do the right thing to keep this club, especially like us, to do the correct thing. Ferguson was appointed manager of United in 1986. He won the first trophy in 1990. That means it took him under 4 years to win his first trophy. Look, I respect the opinion, but I'm not going to get too much into Fergie. Look, I get it, but I think those comparisons are not right. It's like comparing how our parents, or it's like comparing how my grandparents lived in the 50s to like how we live today, right? It was a different era, different time. Football wasn't the same. I get it, I do, but there are lessons to be learned, and I really do believe that there are lessons to be learned from that. But I think that those eras are done. But I do get the point. I do get it. I would sell Kobe. Interesting point there. I think many people would look. Where I would sell Kobe Mainu is if Amran is not going to play him and he's not going to get into the team, you've got to sell him. Even just for the young players' sake, sell him. I don't want to sell him. But if he's not going to get played for his own sake, leave him go. I mean, you can't hold these players to ransom and then sell them for £1. You've got to make a decision as a club, get some backbone, and either say no, we're keeping Kobe, or we're going to sell him. And if you keep Kobe, then you have to speak to Amarin. You shouldn't be telling the coach. But if Amarin doesn't want him, you've got to back the manager or sack him. You've got to either back the coach fully and consider what he wants to do in terms of these players, and then that's on Amorim. Or if you're not prepared to do that, sack him and keep Kobe. It's really simple. Wayne says Kane will give the club a lift if you get him, which I think you will. I think it's a very good point. I do. But we're then going to need another 10 of him. We're going to need another 10 Kanes. But again, Wayne, I agree with you completely, my friend. Speaking on a podcast, United minority owner Sir Jim was confirmed he wants to give Rubin 3 years to prove himself. What do I think of this? I think it's ludicrous. I am manager in. Therefore, at the moment, I want to give... I'm not saying whether I'm Amorim in or out, because it's not as simple as that for me. I am manager in. I want a manager to succeed. I would give Amorim till the end of the season. But even I have to admit this. There are red flags around this manager. As much as I want him in, there are red flags around this manager. Keep playing Luke Shaw, Bruno at 8, Maguire as the last man. There were baffling decisions. I'm still on the side of, what's he supposed to do sometimes with these players. But you can't just give a manager 2-3 years without reviewing the manager at the end of the season. Just to blindly give him 2 to 3 years without there being progression season on season, I think it's ludicrous, and it just goes to show the incompetence of Sir Jim. And also, I think he's fucking lying. I think Sir Jim's talking out of his back end. It is not true. Different time, I agree with you. What do you think? Speaking on the podcast, I've read that one, my friend. Chip plays. Hello, JB. Hello, Chip. I hope you're doing extremely well. I still stand by Amorim. We want instant results, which is normal for a fan. But once Amorim gets the team he wants, and not the odd player, his system will really come to life. Nikarutsu, mate, I've been saying this all season. I've been lambasted. I've been called out on all this stuff. I've always said this. How can you hire a manager who plays a specialist system and not get him his players, and then he finishes 15th? There are red flags, but they're not his players. Then he doesn't get his players. He's trying to implement a system that he was brought in to specifically do, and then he doesn't get his players. And you're absolutely right. How is he supposed to play a system without his players? We all know how we have to accept we're no longer a club with a winning football formula. It would take time. I agree. Kobe can't play as CM. Kobe wants 200k a week. He will chase the money. And that is a factor as well. That is a factor as well. Don't blame Kobe. It's Bruno. He can't play. He's a 10. I don't blame Mainu. But if Mainu is asking for 200k, look, there's no chance. Absolutely no chance. But Mainu's not getting game time. I don't think there's anyone to blame here. If the manager doesn't want him to play, Ineos are backing the manager. There is no blame here. Where they're getting the money from? Exactly, KK. Jim Radcliffe could buy the Glazers out and have full control of the club. He's a multi-billionaire, or do you think that wouldn't be it? Wayne, he's got no intention of that. Jim Radcliffe doesn't look. Asset-wise, he's rich. Sir Jim doesn't have the money in terms of to buy the club and then pump money into the club. Don't get me wrong, Sir Jim is rich, but he's not cash rich. He's asset rich. So how would he get his money out to basically to buy the club? And also, Sir Jim has got no interest in buying the club. And this is what will come out, right? So if this is true and the club gets sold, I'm not a fan. People make mistakes, right? People say stuff. I've said stuff that's not true. I make mistakes all of the time. But those people who were putting a rhetoric to pull the wool over people's eyes to say that Sir Jim was going to buy this club, those people need to be called out, because if this happens, and the club gets sold and Sir Jim has to leave and doesn't put in a bid for this club, then things that I say have been 100%. I think a lot of what we've all said on here, we're going to be proven right. And those people who were trying to spin a yarn, lying to basically say that there is a pathway for Sir Jim to buy the club, here it is, Sir Jim. Here it is. If this is true and somebody's going to buy the club, now is your chance to show your loyal fans, to show those people who were bigging you up to buy the club. And then if Sir Jim buys the club, I will hold my hands up and say, well done, Sir Jim. I don't understand why it's taken you so long to buy the club, but you've bought the club, you've cleared the debts. Well done to him. He's got no intention of buying the club. Kobe is a CM, so stop blaming Bruno, as Kobe can't play there either. Who's blame? I'm not blaming Fernandez at all. I've said this. With Bruno Fernandes, he's playing out of position. I don't blame him for that. Kobe Mainoo not playing. I don't blame him for that either. Kobe has no blame in this. Right? Where I've got a problem with Fernandes is not the position. I don't even mind if he doesn't play well because he's playing out of position. It's the attitude of him, and he's not a captain. That is my issue. KK, mate, you don't know football. If the club is rotten, as you say, that's top-down board. Facilities, fans, players, staff, purging the lot because it's rotten includes purge yourself of United and take your lumps. James, look, I will read out comments, right? I also, when I see comments like yours that are clearly meant in a way, how can you purge? What are you talking about? Purge yourself and take your lumps. What in the fuck are you talking about? You make no sense. So what are we going to do? Purge 1 billion fans? What are you talking about, James? You literally make no sense. Why would you purge fans? Fans are toxic, yes. But why would you purge fans? You'd literally have no club. Us fans take no blame here. Do we take blame in terms of should we have done more to get the Glazers out? Yes. But how can we be blamed for something that's beyond our control? James, I don't get it, mate. I really don't get it. I don't think you make sense. KK, Bruno can't defend and run back. Every new owner will see it as a business. It is a business for them, simply. Look, it is a business. That's what it is, and I don't disagree with you. But ultimately, they are custodians of this club. They are, but it is a business. You're 100% right. It is a business. You're right, Elchef. So United are the biggest retirement home in the UK. Embarrassment of club. Peace out. He's been a LFC. Look, I know you're a Liverpool fan, mate, but we get respectful Liverpool fans on here. Look, come on here, mate. Get out your anger. I get it, right? But you're saying we're the biggest retirement home. For who? Casemiro? Other than that, who's here to retire? Are we in embarrassment at the moment? Yes, we are. I'm not going to disagree. I'll agree with some of the things that you've said. I don't agree with some of it, but we are. Rick says perhaps that's the problem with Radcliffe. He's focused on the balance sheet and see United as a cash cow. I do think he does, my friend. Glazer's out. I agree. I like Kobe and would be ashamed if he left because there is a player in him, but hasn't been consistent enough. Is that and what have you done lately? I agree. Ferguson United downfall. Look at the team he left and Moyes. It wasn't the best. Exactly. Ferguson was on a shoestring for a very, very long time. Liverpool spent a ton of money in that last window. How's Florian Wirtz for them? Non-existent. Isak a shadow of himself. Money can't buy talent. Ben says, I trust him. He did amazing with the Pro. Ben, let's not even go there, mate, shall we? But yeah. Ferguson isn't beyond criticism. He's a tough act to follow, and do it we must. He should never have palmed off the club to his mate who started the down cascade from which we're yet to recover. Rick, as you probably know, the Glazers got into this club because of his deal with the two horse owners. I forget their names now. McManus and someone else. And as an act of revenge over a horse, the Rock of Gibraltar, Ferguson's those two sold their shares to the Glazers, and the rest was history. And also Ferguson recommended the Glazers as well. So Fergie is off the pitch, is not innocent and has contributed to this as well. Radcliffe can, but no way stupid enough to leverage. Can, but yeah, Radcliffe is not gonna. He's just not gonna do it, is he? Would you have the club run by stakeholders? Look, Wayne, would I do it? Yeah, I would. Look, I don't necessarily want UAE. I don't necessarily agree with it. I want the best thing for this club, and if it means that we are sustainable club owned, stakeholder, fan-led owned club, and we clear the debt and we can be self-sufficient and competitive, 100%. I don't want billions. I want to be sufficient. I want to be competitive. And I also want the best thing for this club. So I would absolutely be up for that as well. Fans keep the club going. Exactly. Maybe Radcliffe give Ruben 2-3 years because he sees improvement with Shesko Cunha. Caleb, I think it's a ploy. I'd love to think he'd give him that time, but I do think that it's a ploy. I do. I think it's a ploy. Lucky saying I'm from Birmingham. Gym time quickly to buy more shares. No, thank you. Wayne says, take each day as it comes. You will eventually get there. It's still a very big club. Yes, it is. So the one thing I wanted to say, Nikarutsu, I'll read that. Moyes was pretty much made a scapegoat. Fergie left when he did on a high, and the club was running on fumes. But Fergie left as a legend with a title party. Agreed. Fergie left us on fumes. It wasn't his fault, but it went to show the downfall of this club started before that. So one of the things I wanted to mention as well. So now we're talking about UAE, and we're talking about these investors and whether this is true or not. Why not UAE? They would tarnish. Look, Rick, I'm not opposed to the UAE, right? McManus and Magnia, exactly those two. I'm not opposed to them at all. I'm not saying for them not to come in, but my preference would be to clear the debt and have this club back in the hands of have it in the hands of the fans, have the debt cleared and be self-sufficient and be competitive. I don't know if that's a pipe dream or not. That is what I would want to do. I'm not, look, UAE, if they come into the club, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not saying it is the wrong thing, but we need to realise if that does happen, it's still not perfect. They're still probably going to build the stadium in terms of they're going to build it. They're going to build the infrastructure. They'll still make us like a circus. I hope they don't, but there is still danger there. So I'm not opposed to it. Just my preference would be to own it in a different way. Still have the debts cleared, still, be self-sufficient and all that kind of stuff. I'm not opposed to it, but I would much rather us be owned by fans or be owned by something else rather than UAE. But I'm not opposed to it. Best the manager you can bring in is Eddie Howe. I do agree. How will we clear the debts with the current owners? We won't, Rick. And this is why we'll be forced into some sort of deal like that. The only way another option would be is the fans club together. Imagine this. Imagine a scenario, right? Whoever buys this club out is going to have to pay for the Glazers' debt, first and foremost. So imagine you had a situation whereby the clubs, that us fans said, right, we're going to clear the debt and we're going to buy this club. Imagine hating the Glazers for so many years. We pay for their debt for them to leave the club, and then we buy the club. Obviously, that's never going to happen, right? But that is what someone's going to have to do, Rick. And you're right. Look, I'm not opposed to it at all, but I'm just saying, in an ideal world, I'd love the fans to own the club, and stakeholders and fans to own the club, be a fan-run club. But that's not going to happen. And therefore, if that is not going to happen, and UAE are the pathway to getting rid of the Glazers, I'm on board. Dylan Hughes, the Glazers turning into Del Boy. I agree. Are you from Lee? Lee's back. Are you Lee from the other day? Are you Taxi Lee? Am I from Manchester? Why does it matter? Why does it matter? No way, NUFC current manager. We must have a manager who takes no prisoners. Current England manager is a winner, and we could do worse. Tuchel, not for me. But Rick, look, mate. Good question, Lee. I don't think it is a good question. Why is that a good question? Take that as a no. Why does it matter? I could be from there. I've just moved away. Okay, Lee, let me ask you a question, Lee. Right? Where do you think I'm from? I'm just going to ask you a question. Lee, where do you think I'm from, Lee? You will get them out eventually. Exactly. So, I'm not going to be dissuaded by Lee from York. No, I'm not from York. Yeah. Blue Moon, stop spamming the chat, my friend. I've read it out. I live near London, but I'm not from London. So one of the things as an indicator, so people are now going to talk for many, many, many days and hours now on this. So one of the key indicators as to what will happen, and I suggest you keep your eyes on this one, is United are required under the SEC to disclose any sale, any investment in this club. So what you're going to have to do, sorry, I didn't hear your answer to it. It's cool. It's all cool. It is not an issue at all, Blue Moon. Most are from Manchester, don't allow anyone to... Exactly. You must be from Manchester. You wouldn't be a United fan. Surely that would be silly. Oh, Lee, I'm hoping, my friend, this is just banter. Lee, I'm hoping that you're being... I'm hoping that, Lee, that you're being cheeky. I don't mind that. I don't mind the banter, Lee. I don't mind the cheekiness. Please don't tell me, Lee. Please, for the love of God, don't tell me that you're one of these people who say that you're not from Manchester. How can you support the club? Please don't be one of those. Please. He is. Lee is, isn't he? He is, mate. I agree with you. Lee, look, I don't want Lee to be one of those people. I don't. I want Lee to be intelligent. I want Lee to be a well-rounded human being who's not going to come on here and go, are you from Manchester? You're not from Manchester. How can you support the club? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, come on, Lee. Come on, mate. Look, Lee, don't do it to yourself. Mate, don't. Please, mate. I respect you too much, mate. Look, Lee, just don't do it to yourself, mate. yeah, just don't do it. So stock exchange. So keep your eyes peeled for this. So if United are going to sell, okay, anything that impacts the stock price, like a sale, according to the SEC under the stock exchange, they have to come out and they absolutely have to tell the stock exchange. So if this doesn't come out in the next X amount of time, that's an indicator that this is not going to happen. Now, if this does happen and they come out and they mention something, then potentially this is going to happen. So keep your eyes on the legality stuff. So keep your eyes on the stock exchange, because United will absolutely have to report this. They can't hide it at all. So, and according to, and again, we're talking about the things that are out there today. So other channels and other news feeds on X, etc., will have you believe that this is an imminent deal. Okay, this is an imminent deal that is going to happen. So the guy that broke it, Turkey Al-Sheikh, has actually dispelled that it's not going to happen really, really quickly. You've got Chris Wheeler, okay, and again another respected guy, basically saying that this is early days and no approach has been made yet. So all I'm going to say on this one is follow the news, right? Follow the logical path on this one. They are listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Lee says you can support who you want, but I think you should support. And Lee, you brought yourself back with that comment, mate. Thank God, Lee. That's all I'm saying. Thank God, Lee. How do you know, Lee, that I don't support my local club as well? You know, I'm look. I agree, but all I'm gonna say, Lee, is that if everybody supported their local club, like who would there'd be no, like, I don't know who you support, Lee, but if everybody supported their local club, right? I mean, just think about it, mate. Just think about it. Think about it. Yeah. Chris Wheeler is so Chris Wheeler, again, he's basically reported that, again, the ex-player thing as well. The ex-player thing is on the horizon. The Glazers wants 5 to 6 billion for it. They're in the early days. There is no approach. So what you're going to have now over the next X amount of days is imminent. There's been no approach made. Follow the legal stuff. So I think they are listed on the New York Stock Exchange and not the London. Look at the share price. Look at the disclosures, because they will have to make a disclosure. If there is no disclosure made, which will impact the stock price, this is not happening. So there are indicators here. So I would say, and this is why I do this show, right? Is because we talk about this and we dispel the myths and we talk about everything and we bring everything into the show, because I refuse to jump on this and be the person who's going to say, oh yeah, we're going to sell the club. This is, we come on here as a community and we talk about this from a logical perspective. Nicarucci says, surprised Fabrizio isn't here we go again. Yeah. Yeah, this is not Fabrizio's bag. Dino Hughes says it's just white noise at the minute. Plus, if a deal is to be made, it would take months and not overnight. Exactly. Not sure yet. So you ain't got a good comeback to that. I know I'm right. No, Lee. No, that's not what I've not got a comeback on it, mate. Is because I don't need to come back on it because Lee, do you know? All I'm going to say to Lee is that I don't need to deal with you because the chat will. There's some comments, Lee, on here which I love. You expose yourself. I don't need to come back to you because I find it an irrelevant comment that's not worth my breath. And the chat will deal with you. So you've just exposed yourself and the chat will deal with you because I don't need to. Exactly. Leave it, Rick. I love it, my friend. General Kenobi, great name. He means if everyone supported their club and only their club, then big clubs like United would never have had so much success because of their less fans, which means they're less money. No. What I mean is that if you supported your local club, which I don't disagree with, most clubs wouldn't be the size they are. Like, I just don't get the point. I just don't. It's a bit like saying, well, you shouldn't leave your town. You should only stay in your town. Don't get it. Sorry, you started to make a point and then you make a point. Why shouldn't you support? Look, because I read it, Lee, and then I didn't want to read it, really, because when I start to read stuff, Lee, and if I think it's a load of bollocks, I don't continue to read it. Lee's just ridiculous. So, I read the comment, Lee, as I actually think, Lee, you're a bit thick. I think the mindset is, and the fact you've got an England flag, is that no, it's not an England flag. Is that a Northern Irish flag, or is that an England flag, Lee? Because I can't tell, but Lee, Wayne, look, Lee's a Wally. Yeah. So, and guys, and pretty much I think that is most of the news on that. So what I would say is, what's wrong with the England flag? Nothing wrong with the England flag. But we all know, Lee, we all know what it represents. And Lee, if fancy hating, but Lee, guess what, my friend? It ain't my fucking flag, mate. So, and you're proving my point, Lee. Number one, it isn't my flag. So, I know what it means, Lee. I want to let Lee like hang himself. Just, you wouldn't say that about anyone else's flag. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would. I've got no problem with the English flag, Lee, at all. No, I don't hate the English, Lee. I just dislike you. So my kids are English. Most of the people that I'm surrounded by are English. Lee, I just don't particularly like you. What in the divided working class have I stumbled onto? No, look, you've basically stumbled on you've basically stumbled on, and I am going to hide Lee because he's annoying me now. You've basically stumbled on what you would probably call somebody who has a certain type of view, a very narrow-minded view. Probably the sort of person that voted for Brexit. And I'm not saying, and if anybody did, then that's fine. But I'm just saying, when you put all the pieces together, but I mean, and again, I'm getting the vibe from you, Prime, that you think you're above the working class. I don't know what it is tonight about people and their moral high ground tonight. This is a light-hearted family entertainment show. Lee sounds like an obnoxious type. Nico, I agree with you, my friend. Our politics is shit, and we are all losers. We all lose, yes. Sounds like he has the same thoughts as Neville about flags. Dino, agree, mate. Look, it must be something about the name Lee, because there was another chap on here called Lee, and I don't think that's the same Lee. It could well be the same Lee, but I just don't think it is. What's wrong with your vote for better than Melts? Look, I am not trying to turn this into politics at all. Whoever people vote for, I couldn't care less. But there is a type of person who has a view like that, and who has all of the hallmarks of being a certain type of person that will go in a certain type of march. That's all I'm saying. Reminds me of my dog who won't take no for an answer and still persists to hump my leg. It's like one of my children. I keep asking for the same thing over and over again until your ears bleed, and then you just have to send them up to their bedroom. If there was a step, I think Lee would be consistently on the naughty step. Brexit was the biggest disaster for the economy in recent history. Without getting political on this one, does anybody remember the buses? Right, I know. The guy's specialist. I can smell it. Singing boys, sicking boys. Exactly. Does anybody remember? Remember the buses that was just like save £350 million a week? Now, whenever I think about that time, that's all I ever think about is those slogans of, but yeah, look, people can do whatever they want to do. Vote for I really couldn't care less. Just saying, I sit in the middle, neither for or against sides of parties. Look, I agree with you. I agree. Look, politics is not for this show. But again, I don't judge anybody for their politics. I absolutely no issue at all. We all support who we support politically and in sport and anything else. So yeah. So guys, I am going to go. Good show tonight. I love the end parts of these. Sometimes I know the show can take a tangent. I do like sometimes how these shows end up. Again, it must be something about the name Lee. Interesting. I had somebody on here that Red Tops leading a merry dance. Thanks again for the stream. Thank you, my friend. You don't like government. It's not that I don't like it. It's just, I mean, again, we all got our cross the bear, and whether you like it, Wayne, whether I like it or not, I mean, it impacts us all. Exactly, Dino. Another rabbit hole. I do like these holes. That sounds wrong. I do like these rabbit holes and these tangents. Hello, how are you? I'm very well, and I hope you are too. I've even had somebody on here the night before last telling me that I've got some sort of gang after me now, and they're gonna hunt me down. And I've not heard a peep since. So these shows can go anywhere. We can go down, threats of violence. We can go down all sorts of routes on this show. This is why I love this show. It just throws. Lee tried to ruin the show. It must be something about the name Lee, because we had someone else called Lee on here, and I don't think it was the same one. It could be, but yeah, he was just, again, we love Lee on here. It must be something about the name Lee. Yeah, I don't know what it is. We are a gang of misfits, Rick, on here. That is what we do well. on here. We are a band of misfits who are trying to take over the world, and that is what we do. So, guys, thank you so much. Great show again tonight, guys. As I always say, you absolutely legends on here. I love this show. I did block him, Wayne. He got blocked. For being a prat. Why don't you just ignore the comments and just say the news? Because Kenobi, we do different things, mate. We do different things. Look. One of the things about the channel that I promoted, or one of the things I wanted to do on here, is be different, right? And how do I be different? It's not difference for difference sake. It's about, I wanted to have a channel whereby everybody can pretty much have a voice, right? Could I have blocked Lee from the start? I could have, right? But I like to give people a chance, and Lee went, right? But the important thing for me is that it's for people to get their opinions across. Now, there are other channels. If you want to listen to people give their opinions and you not have an opinion without paying them money, that's up to you. But this is a channel whereby I will always try to read out your chats, because it's really important that we have both sides of the coin. And I think it's a very interactive show, and it's funny. But I respect the critique. I do, but I'm going to try not to change this channel as much, because this is something that I really love to do and interact, and that is what we do in here. So yeah, guys, take it easy. Thank you for being here. Whether we get banter chat, I do appreciate the comments. There is no malice behind the comments, even if sometimes it maybe feels like I come off a little bit, but that's because there's so many chats that I'm just trying to think on my feet as well. There is no script. There is a couple of notes, and that's all I do. Glazer's leaving would be the best thing for the club. If the Saudi get hold of United, that would be huge, not only in terms of sports, but it would be political. Let's see. So this is going to develop. All I'm going to say is be wary of false news on this one. If anything does break, I will be back on here as well. Okay, I'm not going to just be back to report any old crap either. I'm not going to do that to you guys, but I will be back tomorrow at some point. The story will unfold, and absolutely the one thing I do want to say before I go is Glazers get out. Glazers out. Ineos out. We do need a Roman. We absolutely do. Glazers out. Ineos out. I want a club back. I absolutely want this to trend. Glazers out again. Get the Glazers out. Wherever you see it, if you're on Twitter, X, whenever you see anything, Glazers out. And that's where we are tonight. Get these scumbags out, and then we go again, and we can get our club back. So, guys, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. It means so much to me. You guys could be Margaret the Tea Lady rehired. Exactly. You could be spending your time anywhere else, but you've chosen to spend your time here with me. I'll say United is the crown jewel of football. I said that the other night as well, so I agree with you. Has a population of a Muslim majority. Will be further extended in England once United is under the Saudis. It's game over. Whatever. Okay. Thank you, Dino. Guys, you make the show special. You make the show amazing. And thank you for being here. So take care of yourselves, guys. I will be back tomorrow. Have a good afternoon, evening. We are Wayne. We are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. All thanks to you guys. You guys are amazing. So thank you so much. I'll be back tomorrow. Have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care and see you later.